Here's the 10 things that you need to know to run your Airbnb business in 2020, Coronavirus Edition. Let's go. Welcome back, Airbnb family. So I already did a 2020 video, but that was way back in the day, and coronavirus changed everything, didn't it? We all know that we had a terrible April, we had a terrible May. Many of you are still shut down, but some of you are taking advantage of this unique opportunity. And that, of course, brings me to this video because if you're getting back in now, or you've survived and you're just looking for a way to optimize your business to do the best you can and make the most money, this video is for you. So please like this video, share with all your host friends. We are surviving here, and I want to make sure you guys all succeed. So without further ado, let's get into number one. Number one, even though results or recovery time may vary city to city, state to state, country to country, and we can't really nail re-entry into the space, if you are not currently taking advantage of your furnished home or apartment as a short-term rental, if you took it off the short-term rental market, I recommend you put it back on early and fight creatively to keep that full. And opportunity cost is the reason why. Let me kind of explain. You may think that you want to have a 6-month-long tenant to kind of hold you over until the beginning of the new year. You could do this and that's safe, but you're really not going to make any profit off of your space. And if that person defaults and you have to evict them, you're going to lose a ton of money anyway. I think that the disadvantages of having a safe 6-month-long monthly tenant in your furnished home, that they by far outweigh the advantages or the safety. So instead, put your place back on as a short-term rental. And now I understand that places like even Florida, there's a 28 day minimum and stuff like that. Still, get that thing back on the market and try to get a monthly stay. Price for a monthly Airbnb stay or a monthly VRBO, and start doing direct marketing. Find other creative ways to stay full with your rental, so that way as the market recovers, you'll get the good income right away. You want that profitability. And that leads me to number two. The short-term rental market for homes by far has outpaced the recovery for hotels. There are hotels that are still like terribly suffering, and I think hotel occupancy just overall beat like 60% in the country, and that's good for them. But there's hosts in all these major cities that I speak to all of the time, because we have a huge community on Facebook, that are over 90, 94, 95% occupied. And in the suburbs and the rural areas where there's these big homes that people go to vacation, the people that I know who host these homes have had record-shattering months. They're doing amazingly well. So short-term rentals have by far outpaced hotels, and do not look at the hotel market as your measuring stick on whether or not you should get back into short-term rentals or whether or not you think you're going to succeed right now. Because hotels, their data will mislead you to think that it's actually worse than it is. Number three, be careful. Airbnb's made some changes. Airbnb has added a flexible cancellation policy like switch on their searches. So if you go to search for a home on Airbnb and go to map view and you've got 2 guests for certain dates, they give you like home type and instant book and other things like that. They've added one where you can search for only homes that have a flexible cancellation policy. This could hurt, maybe, but we still are strict all across the board and we still have plenty of business. We're still making tons of money. Now, I will tell you that using flexible cancellation policy is only something I would do if my listing was the price leader in the market for last minute stays. What I mean is, if my typical rate last minute gets booked all the time, I would actually raise my prices and then switch to flexible and then try to get more expensive bookings in the future on flexible. And if for some reason people cancel last minute, then I just lower my listing price back down to what it would get when I was strict. So if you're happy with the booking price that you get last minute on strict and you happen to get full all the time without ever having to lower your rates, then now's the time to increase your rates and switch to flexible. You could just increase your rates and keep it at strict though. That's really on you. I don't like flexible, even though there's all these benefits. But be known, Airbnb has now made that switch, so there could be a tipping towards flexible stays. 4, Airbnb is all over the news for multiple reasons. 1, they're pushing for their IPO now. Now there's rumors that if Airbnb does not release their IPO in time, that they would go bankrupt because they need to get bankruptcy protection. But I think that this is just people in the market planning to try to short the stock once it goes into IPO. I personally think the stock will go down once it hits an IPO anyway, because I think it's overvalued because there's a lot of stuff on the inside that's wrong with Airbnb, but I don't think that they're actually at a risk of going bankrupt. They did just raise $2 billion a few months ago, and their burn cannot be that bad. And since Airbnb has recovered largely in the United States and making way more money than anticipated, I think they're making more money than they thought, and they raised more money than they needed. So I don't think that they're gonna go cash broke and need to go bankrupt, but you're gonna see a lot of news about them, especially about this IPO, and they're claiming that they're trying to get back to their roots by, like focusing on their hosts now. We'll actually see if that's the truth. 5, the average length of stay on Airbnb has increased dramatically. The amount of monthly stays on Airbnb has gone up like 40-something%. Airbnb has even made a monthly stay option more attractive or more central on their dashboard. So they're really pushing monthly stays, and of course they've got their first responder thing, and they've asked hosts to help by giving discounts to first responders, but I think all of us are like, well, you already took enough of our money, so we're not gonna do that for you. But without kind of getting into the bias of the politics of whether or not hosts are obligated to give first responders free places to stay, Airbnb did, as a side effect, try to start pushing monthly stays as a way to win the business of first responders staying on the platform. So if you're monthly stay friendly, you should be seeing a gigantic bump in monthly stays because Airbnb's retooled their whole dashboard to try to push those first. 6, even though Airbnb has been cautious to censor words like coronavirus as far as the way you explain how clean your home is, people still care a lot about cleaning, and you need to find a way to communicate that. And you can do that in photos by showing like your housekeeper's doing a good job. You can explain like how deep your checklist is for your cleaning in the description. Airbnb also allows you to do their higher cleaning standards thing. This is another thing that they added that I do not recommend you do, but it allows you to block your calendar for 3 days after every stay. And that booking buffer of 3 days makes you part of Airbnb's higher cleanliness standards, or you can use a 1-day buffer after every stay and agree to their rules and their protocols for a certain like cleaning system, and then you can be part of that too. So that's an opt-in that can get you more exposure on Airbnb, but the reason why I don't recommend it is because I believe in 100% occupancy, and you can do a good job cleaning and let people know that you do a good job without having to agree to Airbnb's terms and block your dates. 7, parties have been out of control and Airbnb is pushing back. Now, I don't think Airbnb is winning this fight yet, but ever since coronavirus happened, there's been a large quantity of people new to the platform who have never had any reservations, no reviews, nothing, and they're booking for single night or 2-night stays, and they're throwing mega ragers, huge house parties. I had one girl who 3 days into me having a new listing, she had 110 people show up at my pool at one of my apartments in Fort Worth, and it made the owner furious. So ever since then, we've had only monthly stays because we want to get back on his good side. In addition, we've had terrible amounts of parties in Philadelphia. We've even hired private security to hang out in front of a row of townhomes to turn people away if they're more than the 6-person occupancy that we allow inside those homes. And this is a way that we've battled parties, but they're still crested. But Airbnb just recently banned parties as a whole. Doesn't matter where, even if you're an event space, private home, no matter what it is, parties are officially banned, and they've made it not allowed for you to advertise that you can sleep more than 16 people. What this means for you is that you're going to have to take off from your listing title description space that you can sleep 25 or anything like that. That's actually now against Airbnb's terms of service. Even if your home can sleep 20, on Airbnb, you can only sleep 16. They will not allow you to break that. They will eventually make exemptions for event venues, but they're currently trying to tool in the software to be able to properly discern which are legitimate event venues and which are not. And then eventually you can host parties again if you have a dance hall per se. 8, we are about to go through an eviction wave in the United States, and landlords see it coming, which makes rental arbitrage, my specific favorite version of Airbnb, so powerful right now. I am picking up 45 apartments plus more deals that I'm trying to pick up in Philadelphia right now between Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, and Philadelphia, because landlords need their spaces full and they want the rent, and they are way more open-minded about a business partner like us because the rate of default on regular tenants is so high. So if you're thinking about switching from owning to rental arbitrage, or you have some rental arbitrages and you got beat up during COVID and you're kind of on your heels, let me tell you right now is the time to negotiate. Even if you don't commit to signing any leases right now, you can still negotiate with landlords to pick them up soon. And if you can get some amazing deals, I've got a luxury apartment in Houston that's going to give me half off rent, my whole lease, because they need the space full. This is exactly what's going on. I have a student in Clearwater, Tampa, Pinellas County that she got a 5-bedroom house, fully furnished, no money down, 3 months free, because she leveraged the uncertainty of it being summer and COVID and the landlord going, well, I'm screwed. If you sign a long lease, I'll give you 3 months free up front. Huge win. Right now is the time to negotiate with landlords to do rental arbitrage. They will let you. Don't be scared. 9, Airbnb has kind of shored up their resolution processes. They're so strict right now, it's not even funny. They declined a $2,200 damage from me because I filed my resolution request 6 minutes late. I still filed it within 4 hours of the guest leaving, but I was 6 minutes late according to Airbnb's policies. They've also invoked a third-party insurance company that does claims for anything big. So you're gonna see some changes in the resolution process, and because of this, we're actually working on a set of modules for the course. I sell a course, and we didn't even think we were gonna need it, but it's such a big deal recovering losses with Airbnb right now that we're actually creating like a protocol how-to video for resolution requests to make sure that in a fast, timely manner, you can get paid for those things. So what I want you to do is I want you to focus on, not even for a second, like putting it on the back burner to do a resolution. If a guest smokes in your home or breaks a chair, you need to start that resolution request right away before the next guest checks in. So if the guest checks out at 2 p.m. where they're supposed to check out at 11, you only have a couple hours if the next guest is going to check in at 4. So make sure you do this right. But I will tell you they did one thing for us, and this is part of it, is that they made it so that way you can start a draft. If you need time to make get an invoice or to get evidence, you can start a draft for a resolution and then add that evidence later, which is really, really nice. Now, another thing that they did is they allow you to have 2 separate claims open. You can have a claim for damages and missing items, and then you can have another one for like extra services or something like that, or trip-related issues, and those can be opened like simultaneously. They used to only allow you to do one, but now you can do one set that's damages and one that's not. And so they've done that for us, which is really nice. And number 10, we found a hack, kind of like a bug in the system, but it's something you need to know. House rules are dynamic. This means that what we typically thought happened, where a guest would book and it would save a contract of the booking, of like a time-stamped contract where the description was such and the prices were such and the house rules were such and everything was that, and it was frozen in time. So if a guest checks in 3 months later, it would have like say a guest checks in today in August and they booked in May, the house rules from May would be what they have as relevant. That's not actually the case. If a guest books in May, checks in August, you can change your house rules in July, and if they call into Airbnb about something, or you call into Airbnb about something and quote the house rules, they will see your new house rules and not your old house rules. This is wild. Airbnb's got a bunch of other bugs, and that I can punch this in as 10.5. We've seen where people's listings that were 3 bedrooms now are all 1 bedrooms. We've seen where people, like the cleaning fees get erased. We've seen where all the customer information is gone, or all the messages are gone, or people's listings get just unlisted at random, and you have to basically they get ghost hosted, or they get shadow banned, where they just don't show up in search, and you have to unlist it and relist it just to get it back into search again. Airbnb's full of bugs right now. It's because they're trying to make a bunch of changes to the way that their workflow is, and of course they're trying to add these new features like the flexibility search and all that good stuff. So just survive the bugs. It's kind of stupid, but it's kind of the way the game works. If I can give you the moral of the story here, Airbnb supplies you a way to fill your home, but Airbnb is not your business. You are a short-term rental operator, you have a house or an apartment, and you sell time. You sell heads and beds by the night, and Airbnb makes that possible, but Airbnb is not the only way. Airbnb doesn't run your show. So Airbnb will screw up at times. You don't rely on them. So don't gripe at them for not being good enough, because there's gonna be plenty of times that they're not good enough, but they are external to your business. If they fail, you need to find a way to keep going. And I'm not saying that they're gonna fail, but just for color, I'm saying hypothetically. With that said, stay strong, stay profitable. It's way better than you guys think it is out there right now. We are actually growing, which is super cool, and we're profitable. That's important. That's super important for you guys to know right now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.